Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Eric Berg, here at StopStrugglingNow.com. And today we're going to talk about that FICO 10. That's right. FICO 10's going to reduce a lot of people's credit score because they're going to go back 24 months. And some people's going to increase their credit score, but you know how this works. We're going to talk about it. And I'm going to have links down below on how you can boost your credit score in the description links. With the $5,000 trade lines, the $2,000, the $1,500, it's all going to be links down below. So please like, subscribe, and click the bell below so you get the latest updates. Now, let's get to it. All right, welcome back. It's all about credit. It's 2020, and for the last year, I've been talking about sooner or later, they're going to make it a little bit more difficult so you can get your credit scores down. The reason why, you've been able to hack the system by getting authorized users, by getting the primary trade lines that we've been able to add. All that is kind of getting people back up on their feet, being able to get decent credit cards, primary trade lines, primary credit cards, and then build your credit from there. Of course, now FICO 10 is coming out. You knew the powers that be, their objective to the game of life is trying to keep your credit score down so that you pay higher interest. They make more money off of a higher interest rate when you're trying to get loans, when you're trying to get credit cards, when you're trying to get your house. So therefore, they're tweaking the system. And I'm actually going to show you some of the things FICO 10 by Experian, and then I'll just go by CNBC and take their take on it. But again, you already know my take on it. I've been saying this for years. FICO 10 is going to be starting, they're going to start rolling out FICO 10 about probably July, August, September, somewhere in there, a little bit here and there. So for all those people who have excellent credit or good credit right now, let's just call it around 690, 680 to 720 and higher, you're on the road to decent credit, good credit. But what's going to happen is they're going to go back 24 months. They're not just going to go back 3-4 months, 6 months, whatever, 90 days. They're going back 24 months. So if you had a bad report 24 months ago, meaning missed payments, meaning your collections would be gone, but anything that has to do with missed payments, a high debt utilization, anything of that nature, it could lower your score because they're going back 24 months. So it's not going to be 3 months anymore or 60 days. So these are the kind of things that you knew was coming, because when the economy starts going down, people do not understand that they usually make you have a higher credit score in order to get any type of funding, any type of loans, cars, whatever. They want to see higher credit scores, otherwise your interest rate goes up. So just keep all this in mind. We knew it was coming. I tried to tell you this was coming, so that's why I've been adamant about get your credit score at a decent level. It's still not too late. Authorized user trade lines. Another thing, the FICO 10, that little hack, it's going to be taken away. So if you're going to need an AU trade line to boost your credit score up, I would suggest you get one now, in the next month or two. Because in about 5-6 months from now, maybe 7-8, an AU trade line is not going to help boost your score that fast. Okay? Because the FICO 10 is going to take it out of the equation. So you're having heads up right here. Everybody, you can see we're on the Stop Struggling Now YouTube channel. I want to thank everybody again for subscribing, for sharing the videos, watching the videos, making the comments in the video. All that helps us grow the channel. We're approaching 4,500 subscribers, which is awesome. So thank you. And let's get down with this CNBC. As you can see, I'll have the link down below in the description so you can go read this yourself. I'm just going to go over it real fast because they came out with this, and I figured I might as well go over it because we haven't talked about credit in a week or two. And they put it straight out. Bad news. The new FICO score changes could impact the credit cards you qualify for. See, this is exactly what I've been saying for the last year and a half. I've been trying to prepare everybody because this is how America is. You're out here working hard for your money. The powers that be are sitting here trying to extract you from your money. If everybody had a credit score that was great, then they would have a different problem. They would be going, okay, we have to give everybody these 0% interest rates for a year, 2 years. We got to give them this mileage programs just to get all these people in here. So as soon as they lower your credit score, now you're back begging again. Will you please give me something because my score is 650, 640, 620. And all they had to do was just change the FICO. So again, they're just saying straight out, your score could drop 20 points. Because, like I said before, they've already know the answer to the question. 24 months of history could change for some people. Because if your credit was bad a year ago, they're going to take all that information into consideration, so your score will drop. They're using the same type of 5 elements with your score that we always talk about. I'll post it up here on the screen. You know, your debt utilization, your payment history, your on-time payment history, the age of your credit report, all right? You got your 10% for new credit. All these things go in the little bucket, except this new bucket, we're going back 24 months now. So I hope this is clear for everybody. And like I said, you guys thought I was playing around. This is what happens. Look here, I just want to point something out to you. If you can see this here, the changes come on the heels of the average FICO score hitting a record high of 703 earlier this month. Goes more to my point. My point is record high of 703 for most people. If you have a score of 700 plus, generally you have better interest rates. You have great deals. This is why they have to knock you down. Again, this illustrates my point. You think the American government is helping you. It's all propaganda, like I've been saying for the last week. And if you're already down here in the lower 80%, which means that's 80%, let's just call it 300 million people. 80% is 240 million people. Okay? So if you're down in the 80 percentile where you're in the lower income economic bracket, they don't want you to be able to borrow 25 grand. Get a credit card for 25 grand. Get a credit card for 50 grand. Get a credit card for 5 grand. Get a credit card for 2 grand. They're trying to make sure that you go to work for somebody else. And it's one of those 20 percenters that owns one of the corporations or the companies or the conglomerates. Let's get real. All right? How much more of this do I have to keep explaining to you? This is not rocket science. Do not think the government's your friend. Do not think everything you read when the government says we created X amount of jobs that it's legitimate. The X amount of jobs they created, they don't tell you it's $10 an hour. Come on. All right, back to the credit. 703 was the record. So of course we have to do something about this. And as you can see down here, FICO estimates 110 million will see their credit score change. Approximately 40 million will see a shift upwards, and another 40 million will see a shift downward. That's a lot of people, ladies and gentlemen. That's more than 10% of the population swing in either direction. That's a lot of people. And a lot of people are going to be affected, and a lot of people are going to be sitting here saying, man, I used to have a 720, now my score is 670, 660. That changes everything when it comes to home loans, when it comes to credit cards, when it comes to car loans. That just gives you an idea of some things, and they came out with this like January 23rd. Now, of course, all of us know the usual credit rules. I'm not going to get into that. Make your payments on time. Pay your bill in full. Okay, that's great. Pay your bill in full, or like I always say, make sure you're under 9% debt utilization on all your credit cards and any other personal loans, anything like that. You try to make sure everything's under 10% when they're added together. So if I have 3 credit cards, and I'll try to keep it simple, we'll call it 4 credit cards, and they're $2,500 credit limit on each one. That means altogether, that's a $10,000 credit limit. That means I want 9% or less owed. So if it's 10,000, I got to owe $900 or less combined across all 4 of the cards. So we want to be under 9%. Now I'll say it again for all the new people that have joined us. The long as your debt utilization is 29% or less, meaning in our example, we have $10,000 total credit limit combined over the 4 credit cards. That means my balance has to be $2,900 or less when they take a snapshot on my statement date. So you need to find out what your statement date is. Just because your pay date is the 10th of the month, or due date is the 10th of the month, your statement date might be the 13th of the month or 15th of the month. So you need to know that, because you could, in essence, I'll just use a crazy example. Let's say you max out all 4 of your credit cards, and that's $10,000, and your minimum due is the 10th of the month. And here it is, the 1st of the month. Okay, we're good. But before the 10th of the month, you got to get your amount owed $2,900 or less to keep your credit score going in a positive direction. So you're going to have to pay off $7,100. So then when they take the snapshot, it'll show that you owe $2,900 or less. And that's what will be reported to the credit bureaus. So it's not what you do during the month, it's what you do when they take that snapshot. So let's move on. I'm going to go to Experian, because they talk about the FICO 10. And the FICO 10, here's the T, considers trended data for the first time. This is what I was talking about. They're going to go back 24 months, ladies and gentlemen. Here it is, right here. Minimum payment requirements and the amounts you paid on your most recent credit card statements going back 24 months. Let's get real. How many people 2 years for every month were under, let's say, 29%? Things happen in people's lives. This right now is the economy that has the most credit card debt in American history by consumers. American citizens combined has a record debt of credit card debt. So you got to understand what's going on here. Of course, people are going to have, some people had to spend over the 30% or 29% rate. So when they took a snapshot a year and a half ago, somebody, I'll use our example again. We had $10,000 in cards. Somebody might have had an emergency, had to spend $3,000, $3,500. That comes back to haunt you now, where they're going back 24 months and you were over your 29%, so obviously your credit score is going to go down. So they're talking about it right here. This is Experian site. I'll leave a link down below. Here you go. Delinquencies, right? Straight up, they just put it in headlines. Delinquencies will hurt scores more under FICO 10. It's going to be very interesting, because they're going to try to figure out, before it was 35% on late payments on your credit score. So they're saying already that it's even going to have more of a weight if you have late payments under FICO 10. So just keep that in mind. You have to gear up. You're going to have to make extra money, or you're going to have to save extra money, because if you're going to play this credit game, you're going to have to make sure that you cannot miss any payments ever, because you're going to be hit the 35%, but they're going to do something else. And nobody knows what that is, but they're already saying that they're going to be a heavier hit on your credit score if you're late. Okay, credit card debt will have a bigger impact. So like I said before, that's that credit card utilization. Again, they're saying again, it's going to have a bigger impact. So it wasn't good enough to be 30% of your credit score on the old FICO. system. Now they're saying there's going to be even more of an impact for going over and having crazy debt utilization. So even now, it's even more important that you stay under 10%. So you got to get 9% or less, but never fear, 29% or less still keeps you good. But just keep in mind in your head, you want to keep all of your credit 9% or less or under debt utilization. Just go to Credit Karma, Credit Sesame, or if you have a monitoring system, go there and they will tell you what your debt utilization is. Credit Karma, Credit Sesame are free. That's why I always say use them, because it's plain and simple. It shows you what your debt utilization is. So you can just see it by percentage. It'll say 29%, 25%, 10%, 3%. It'll tell you. Personal loans. Here we go. So sometimes when you have loans, revolving credit, things of this nature, that just kind of sits there and it just says, just like a car loan, just like a mortgage, it just kind of sits there and then it says, okay, on-time payment, on-time payment. That's kind of all it does. These guys are saying because you have additional debt besides your credit card, they're now going to use that against you. So now you say, okay, I have a student loan that I owe $100,000 for. They're going to hold that against you now and penalize you. So look here. And they're saying might be. Consumers might be penalized simply for having personal loans on their credit reports. This, again, is another way to lower your score. Nobody knows how much it'll lower your score, but it could. So again, just be cognizant of this situation. All right, let's see. What else do we need to know? Well, I pretty much have told you everything, and they've told you everything as well. And this can go good for some, bad for others. But the only people that's going to go good for is people who have been stable for the last 24 months, because they would not have missed a payment. They would still have their debt utilization under 9% or less, under 29% or less. So those people would be fine. But all the people who may have lost a job, who may have been laid off, who had a medical emergency, who had to use their credit, and what's wrong with using your credit in reality, right? You're paying it back. So you might have had to use it, so now your debt utilization is out. You might have missed a payment. So all that's going to be held against you, even though it happened a year and a half ago, even though it happened 1 year and 10 months ago. It could be used against you, and it will be used against you on this new FICO 10. So I just wanted to let you guys know. Again, this goes along with that inequality in America. Everything's not the same. And this also goes with the fact that you should be getting your own EIN number, getting your LLC, and setting up a business. So that way you can have extra income coming in, hopefully, generating yourself some extra money, because you're going to need it. Because if you can't borrow and you can't get credit cards, what do you have next? That means it's a cash and carry scenario. So the only other thing you can do is build your business credit, so you can hopefully get some business credit down the line, because since this is the corporation of the United States of America, being a business owner, you have benefits. And these are one of the benefits that they can't shore up yet, or haven't shored up yet. So as long as nobody can hack the system for business credit, they're going to keep it the same, because it takes time to build business credit. It's a little different way they calculate it. So a lot of different way that they calculate it. So don't worry about that too much. But all I'm trying to say is, I'm trying to implore everybody, this is 2020. Now's the time to quit playing around. And now's the time to get on board and get your own business entity, personal, get it all together and be diligent about this, because nobody's going to teach you this in school. Nobody's coming to save you with any free knock at the door saying, hey, let me help you with your credit. Let me show you what to do with your credit. No, you got these Bible thumpers coming to my door, right? Saying, hey, Jesus needs to save you, or Jehovah needs to save you, or whoever else needs to save me. But nobody's coming here saying, hey, show me here, let me show you how to do this, so we can make sure that you can live here economically well, not be suffering, and all these kind of things. Nobody's coming to save you. Let's get real now. You can only save yourself. Every man for himself almost these days in America. Long gone are those days where you're trying to sit here and go, okay, let me help my fellow citizens. That seemed to be a lost art. So that's what we're doing here at Stop Struggling Now. Let's all rise up together. So please, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And if you need any of these links, they're down below in the description. And again, please like, subscribe, and click the bell below so you get the latest updates. And you know it's hard out here. And it's going to get harder. This is what I've been talking about ever since I started this channel. This has been no secret to me, and it should be no secret to subscribers. We've been talking about this. As long as the haves, and there's a have-nots, the haves try to put their shoe on the neck of the have-nots. And they make sure that the have-nots are almost in servitude. This doesn't change just because you make 50 G's a year. Just because you make 100. Nothing changes. They're trying to squash you like a bug. But we're not going to let that happen here. So keep your head up, keep moving, and I'm out.